Tonight's story takes us deep into one of the most secretive and heavily guarded encounters in modern geopolitics. No press conference, no live broadcast, no open microphones, just armored steel, synchronized formations, and a show of power so overwhelming that even one of the world's most hardened leaders was reportedly taken by surprise. This is the moment Vladimir Putin was shocked by Kim Jong Un's staggering $10 billion military escort. This was not just a welcome. It was not just protocol. It was a calculated display of strength, loyalty, intimidation, and symbolism. A message not only to Putin but to the entire world. Tonight, we break down exactly what happened, how this escort was assembled, why it mattered, and what it reveals about power, fear, and alliance in the modern era settle in. This is not a fast story. This is a deep, uninterrupted journey into one of the most dramatic military spectacles ever staged behind closed borders. The moment began long before Putin's plane touched the ground. Days earlier, North Korea entered a heightened state of preparation. Roads were cleared, rail lines inspected inch by inch. Entire military units were repositioned. Intelligence agencies across the world noticed something unusual. This was not a standard diplomatic visit. This was something bigger. Kim Jong Un had decided that Putin's arrival would not be greeted with words, but with force. Not aggressive force, but demonstrative force. The kind that leaves no doubt about control. As Putin's aircraft approached North Korean airspace, it was met by a formation of fighter jets flying in perfect symmetry. These jets did not merely escort the plane. They surrounded it, moving in disciplined patterns designed to showcase precision and readiness. Each aircraft represented millions in maintenance, training, and infrastructure. This was only the beginning. Once on the ground, the scale became impossible to ignore. Armored vehicles lined the runway, positioned at exact intervals. Elite guard units stood motionless, their uniforms flawless, their posture unbroken. Tanks, missile carriers, and mobile radar systems were placed strategically along visible routes. This was not concealment. This was exhibition. Putin, a former intelligence officer and lifelong student of power, immediately understood the message. This was not paranoia. This was control. Kim Jong Un was saying, without speaking, that nothing moved in his country without his command. The convoy that followed was unlike anything seen in modern diplomacy. Multiple layers of armored limousines, decoy vehicles, electronic warfare trucks, and rapid response units moved together as one organism. Helicopters hovered above, matching speed and position. Snipers were stationed on rooftops, hills, and towers, all coordinated through encrypted networks. Experts later estimated the cost of this single escort and security operation at nearly $10 billion when, factoring in equipment deployment, personnel mobilization, fuel, intelligence systems, and operational disruption across the country. For a nation under heavy sanctions, this was an extraordinary allocation of resources. As Putin observed the procession, his reaction was reportedly restrained but unmistakable. He had seen power displays before: Moscow parades, NATO exercises, global summits. But this was different. This was personal. This was Kim Jong Un demonstrating that even under pressure, even under isolation, he could still marshal overwhelming force on demand. Inside the vehicles, conversations were minimal. Silence carried weight. Every mile traveled reinforced the same message: loyalty through strength, alliance through deterrence. When the two leaders finally met face to face, the atmosphere was thick with unspoken acknowledgement. Kim Jong Un had done what few leaders dared. He had staged a military spectacle not for his people, but for another head of state. This was not insecurity. It was confidence bordering on defiance. The discussions that followed touched on defense cooperation, technology exchange, and strategic alignment. But beneath every word was the memory of that escort. The tanks, the jets, the soldiers, the cost, the intent. For Kim Jong Un, this was about legitimacy. About being seen not as a sanctioned outcast, but as a leader capable of commanding loyalty at scale. For Putin, it was a reminder that power does not always need economic approval to exist. Sometimes, it only needs control. Global intelligence agencies analyzed every frame of leaked footage. The military escort became impossible to ignore. This was not just security. It was theater. Carefully rehearsed, meticulously timed, and psychologically calculated. Kim Jong Un understood something fundamental about leaders like Vladimir Putin. Respect is earned through strength, not explanation. Every tank placed along the route, every soldier standing motionless, every aircraft circling overhead was part of a silent language both men spoke fluently. Behind the scenes, North Korean command centers were operating at maximum alert. Radar screens tracked every movement in the air and on land. Communication lines remained encrypted and isolated from the outside world. Entire civilian districts were effectively frozen in time to ensure absolute control. This level of coordination required months of preparation and unquestioning obedience. It revealed not just military capability, but total authority. Putin, known for his ability to read power dynamics instantly, understood the risk Kim Jong Un had taken. A display of this magnitude exposed assets, tactics, and operational patterns. It was a gamble, but it was also a statement. North Korea was not hiding its strength. It was showcasing it. That confidence alone carried strategic weight. As meetings continued, the escort lingered in memory like a shadow. Discussions about weapon systems, satellite technology, ammunition supply chains, and regional security unfolded under the unspoken influence of that initial arrival. Kim Jong Un had already framed the conversation before a single word was exchanged. What shocked observers most was not the hardware, but the discipline. Soldiers did not move. Drivers did not glance around. Commanders did not hesitate. This level of precision is rare even among the world's most advanced militaries. It demonstrated that North Korea's power structure, whatever its limitations, remained tightly controlled at the core. International reactions were swift. Intelligence agencies revised threat assessments. Defense analysts debated whether the escort was exaggerated or underestimated. Some called it propaganda. Others called it preparation. But no one dismissed it. That alone marked its success. For Kim Jong Un, the escort also served a domestic purpose. It reinforced loyalty within his ranks. When soldiers see their leader host one of the world's most powerful presidents with such authority, allegiance hardens. Fear becomes respect. Respect becomes obedience. For Putin, the message was layered. This was an ally willing to stand openly, visibly, and expensively in defiance of global pressure. In a world of shifting alliances, that kind of commitment is rare. Whether it was admiration or caution, the impression was made. As the visit drew to a close, the military presence did not relax. There was no victory parade, no visible relief. The escort remained intact until the final moment, reinforcing one last idea. Power does not switch off when cameras leave. When Putin's aircraft departed, fighter jets once again rose into formation. Ground units stood in silence. The spectacle ended exactly as it began, controlled, precise, and unmistakably intentional. Long after the engines faded, the impact remained. The $10 billion military escort that stunned Vladimir Putin was not about protection. It was about perception. In the world of global power, perception shapes reality. Kim Jong Un did not need to speak loudly. He spoke through scale, discipline, and unwavering control. This moment revealed a truth many prefer to ignore. Even the most isolated nations can project immense power when authority is absolute and preparation is relentless. And even the most experienced leaders can still be surprised when force is displayed without apology. This was not just a meeting between two men. It was a signal to the world that alliances are being reshaped in silence, strength is being measured differently, and the balance of power is always in motion. If you enjoyed this in-depth, uninterrupted breakdown of one of the most intense geopolitical moments of our time, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.